Many people have asked Michael and I tonight, what the hell were you guys thinking? But this is a group that is it is about Maisonette. It's about camaraderie and friendship and what it takes to be this place.
Let me tell you, Nat, this trio has closed more rooms than the Board of Health.
Ba-da-boom. But when Michael and I were growing up, the assumption, I think, on the part of the world is what a wonderful education we had from our parents. But our parents were people called Arthur Hottenbach and Margaret and Miss Augustine. And as early as I can remember, there was a Christmas Eve party at my house, and I met Uncle Lenny and Uncle Lenny's stories. And all the people that came in here and all the people that they've talked about tonight and over the years, listening to Ray and Al and Lenny and the whole like, have kind of formed a little bit of who we are.
How come, when we were assembled over there,
Yeah.
in some ribald rivalry, celebration, and Al played the accordion, you threw us out?
It wasn't me.
Actually,
It wasn't me.
No apologies, please.
Okay.
I will say this to you. This is one of the few times Lenny and I and Al have ever worked above ground. When we were banished, we actually weren't thrown out of the whole geschäft. We were thrown upstairs into the room up above.
This is true. They were thrown out at one point, but I wasn't here. They can claim to it. But I just want to, in front of everybody, thank these gentlemen and thank you, Lenny, for the impact that you had in making us what we are.
Many, many years ago, I started as a habit coming to the old Maisonette when it was still under the Keith's building on Walnut Street. Was that correct? The La Normandie was upstairs, the La Maisonette was down. I'll tell you how long ago I started there. My credit card is number 24. No gag. Number 24, Valley. Your grandma gave me that card. This has been my club in a way for over 50 years, about 55 years. And we've had characters come in the old Maisonette especially, that you would not believe, because in those days, people were on an expense account. By the way, when I said that, something sparked my mind. Here are the three of us: Ray Shannon, Al Lewis, and myself.
Thank God he remembered your name.
And it was not easy. Between us, we're well over 300 years. Ray's just 80. You're just about, if I let you live, and I'm 83. So this is a hell of a group of, years put together. And we've had the wonderful, wonderful adventure of watching, in our particular cases, show business evolve over the past 75 years. I say 75 because our memories would be starting when we were young kids. But what a change. And you know something, kids, all of you? We had the best of it. There's not much left of it at all.
One of the great family and friends occasions was an Irish wake. And it was a hot summer day in July, and they had the corpse laid out in the living room. When the widow came walking in, she said, "All right, boys, I'd like you to leave me for a minute so I can be with my Mike, before you have to take him to cemetery." He said, "All right, say you leave." And she closes the door behind them. She goes over to the bureau and takes out a little packet, undoes it, it's a silk handkerchief, and in it, a little lump of cheese. She makes a little packet of it, and she walks over to the coffin and puts it right near his coffin, and she says, "Michael, I know how you like to go to the pub all the time, and your favorite dish was that Limburger cheese with rye bread. She said, I put a little bit in here in the silk handkerchief, and I'm putting it in your coffin, and you can take it along with you. Where are you going now?" So calls them in, they screw the top on, and these 6 drunken Irishmen in the middle of July are crawling up this rocky road to the cemetery. They get halfway up, and one drops the end. What the hell did you do that for? I said, if he can fart, he can walk. Ladies, may I tell a slightly off-color one? The old Gibson Hotel down here had a bar, and many a great date was made there during the wartime. And it was this cold afternoon, and a man and her friend were sitting around there. You're not going to tell that one, are you? I am. Sitting around with this gal, and they were making time, and everything was going along very well. He said, you know, instead of sitting around over here, why don't we go to my place up Mount Adams? Well, so, you know, have a quiet drink, so we'll see what. He said, all right. So they get into a car, and it was an old Model T Ford, you know, no cooler, nothing at all, no heater, nothing at all. They get up near the reflecting pond out there. Stop. He said, I think I know what's wrong. He said, boy, you better hurry up. I'm freezing to death. He goes out, raises the hood, and he's working under, and he comes in and he says, sweetie, I hate to say this, it's one part of the wires, but my fingers are frozen stiff. Do you mind if I put my hands between your thighs? You know, it's like saying, oh, okay. And he does, and warms him up, and he goes out again. He's back in about 5 minutes. I've almost got it done. And I just, oh, okay. Well, he comes around once more, and she says, don't your ears ever get cold? You know, I said to Michael, I said, you know, I said, where does it stop, where does it start? He said, well, these are people of the world. They've been around, and they, you know, they will not take offense at almost anything you said. I just tested it. Two little Jewish boys came in from Poland, in their dream to come to the United States, and the one thing that they wanted more than anything else was to emulate what they had seen on the screens in Europe. They wanted to emulate the cowboys in America. They put together a dress business, the only trade they knew, became very, very successful. And their dream was a simple one. One of them, after they'd raised enough money, would go out west and buy a ranch with all the accoutrements. The other would close up the business and meet them there, and they would live out their days like an American cowboy out on the prairies. It came to be. They got enough money together, and one of them went out, bought up a ranch, finally wired his partner, come quickly, everything is ready. Partner got on the plane, wound up somewhere out west in Arizona, somewhere, got off the plane, and there was his partner in full cowboy regalia, the works, 10-gallon hat, leather chaps, boots, high-heeled, silk neckerchief around his neck. He says, God damn it, you look just like Garrett Cooper. Just like Garrett Cooper, you look like him. So I know, he says, but tomorrow you look like this too. We'll go out to the ranch, I have a whole outfit for you, and we're going to become Westerners. So they go out. Early in the morning, there they are. Gets out there near the pen, and they got a horse waiting for him. He said, God damn, it's a good-looking horse. He said, how do you get on him? I said, well, I learned. He said, I've been here a couple of months. So I learned. You put in the left foot into the stirrup, that's that thing that's hanging down there. On you throw the leg across the horse, and you're there. He said, oh, there we go, right like this. He's up on the horse, he says, all right. And he's feeling good, he's tall in the saddle. He said, how do you make him go? He said, well, this is crazy, and believe me, I thought it was crazy, you'll think it's crazy, but it's the way they live here. These people are from what they call the Bible Belt. If you want the horse to go, you say, thank God. If you want him to stop, you say, amen.
Take it from here. This is how they do it here. Says, all right, he said, and thank God that the horse takes off on a walk. So he prods him a little bit. He's out getting close to the prairie. He's out there. Now he's feeling good. Now these are two tough Jewish boys from Poland. They've been around. They've been had a few people of their own. He was tough and he wanted to be a cowboy. Nothing was going to scare him. So he nudges the horse a bit and the horse breaks into a trot. Moves along pretty good. Gives him another nudge into a canter. A nice rolling canter. And man, he's feeling good. He said, now I'm going to give my galley a boom. And his horse takes so. And he's feeling great. The prairie is rushing by, the wind's blowing in his hair, and he suddenly realizes right in front of him is a canyon with a drop off about 300 feet, and he can't remember how to stop the horse. He says, oh, man! The horse slides it with 3 inches of spread. He says, thank God. There's a man who's made all the money he needs, and he's got only one hobby: going to the finest, most wonderful, and out-of-the-way restaurants in the world. He's been every place, has his own private jet, and money means nothing to him. He hears that in Spain, there is a restaurant, well, it's not a restaurant, it's a cafe, been there for 600 years. It's in a cave, actually, in this mountainside. And they serve food that you can find nowhere else in Spain, if not in the world. So he gets his jet, he's over there, and he orders. You know, they take care of him, they've heard about him before and all this stuff. But it's food, it's excellent food, but he's had it before, and he's about to pay his check and leave when suddenly he hears those wonderful notes from the trumpet. Ya-da-da, ya-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And in on their shoulders, they carry a toreador. From the bullfight, he's still dirty, bloody, and all. Sit him down on the chair. Another trumpet calls. Ya-da-da, ya-da-da, da-da-da-pa-pa-pa. The 2 waiters come staggering in with this giant silver tray with a hat on it, a cap on it. Take it off, and there on this saffron mountain of rice are 2 large, round objects. And he calls over the manager. He says, Senor, I've had everything here. He said, well, what the hell? What is he eating? He said, Senor, it is a tradition here that after the corrida in the afternoon, we award this special dish to the great toreador of the day. He says, but what the hell are those round things? He says, those are the testicles of the bull. This is the award we give them. He said, I'd like an order like that. You don't understand. You have to be a toreador. You have to be the best of the day. And I said, look, here's $1,000. I'll tear the bill in half. When you put it together for me, call me, I'll give you the other half. Well, and another day they call him. Well, comes in and they say, yum-da-da, yum-da-da, and they carry in this tray, flip it off on a mountain of saffron rice, 2 little golf balls. What the hell is that? He said, sometimes the bull wins.
One of the great stories was that there were 2 Irishmen. They were blood enemies, Callahan and O'Brien. And if you remember the Irish legend that if you're able to turn up a leprechaun and catch him by the left heel, you're entitled to 3 wishes. Well, O'Brien was plowing the field and he turned up the leprechaun. He grabbed him by the left heel and said, all right, O'Brien, you've got me fair and square. You're entitled to your 3 wishes. But I'm obliged to tell you that for whatever you wish, your blood enemy, Callahan, gets twice. Ooh. Well, he says, despite that, he says, all my life I've been a poor man. I've never been able to accumulate anything. He says, I'm wishing for a wheelbarrow full of gold. He says, remember, Callahan gets 2. There was a wheelbarrow full of gold. He says, now that I'm a rich man, he says, I can afford a wife. And I'd like you to get me the most beautiful colleen in all Ireland with an eye put in with a sooty thumb. He says, remember, Callahan gets 2. That was the most beautiful colleen he ever laid eyes on. He said, be quick about it, man. You've got your 3rd wish. He said, well, before I make it, I've got a question. He says, and what's that? He says, would it hurt very much to have 1 testicle removed? two Irish gentlemen out on the town, and after they'd properly refreshed themselves, their mind turned from food and drink to sex. Not an unnatural development. So they went over, knocked on the door of the bordello, and the madam opened the door. She says, "What can I be doing for you two fine gentlemen?" He says, "Oh, we'd like to have two of your most lovely young ladies." She took a look at him, turned to the towel boy, and she said, "See, I heard this. I don't, not personal knowledge." Turned, and she said, "We're not going to waste any of the girls on these two bums. Take them up to the third floor and give each one of them an inflatable doll." So they came down, and the one says, "How was your experience?" He says, "Indeed." He says, "I think they put me in bed with a dead woman." He said, "Why would you say that?" He said, "Got no action at all." He says, "How about yours?" He says, "They gave me a witch." "How could you be sure?" He says, "They bit her in the tit, she let a fart and flew out the window." Alf and Annie had met at a crossroads dance. It was in the middle of winter, bitter winter. It was the bitterest winter in 50 years in Europe. And they were dancing, and finally Alf says to Annie, he says, "How's a bit of fun?" She says, "Well, I don't mind, but where we go, she'll go outside." She can't go outside. It's knee-deep in snow. She says, "All right, we'll have a go in the snow." So they went out. Winter waned and spring came. Alf hadn't seen Annie, and Annie hadn't seen Alf, and she spied him walking down on the other side of the village. She says, "Here, Alf, I have a word with you." He says, "What's up?" She says, "I'll have you know." She says, "I ain't been sick since we had that go in the snow." He says, "Cool blimey, ain't you the lucky one? I got double pneumonia." You know, the troopers in England, sooner or later would gravitate to Piccadilly Square. You met the most receptive young ladies in England who realized the sacrifice you were about to make for the preservation of peace and dignity throughout the world, and the preservation of the British Empire. So this was in the midst. Were any of you any old troopers here? What the hell? A lot of, and any? Who was that? Were you there? Were you there? Huh? God, you've held your years. Oh, I see. That was last week. In any event, this Yank had gotten a 3-day pass down to London, and it was in the middle of this very bitter winter, and he was wearing his overcoat, wool knit cap, the scarf, the gloves, everything against the bitter weather, and he met a young lady who was similarly attired, an overcoat and a scarf, the whole thing. So they finally got around to the matter of mutual interest, and he said, "Where will we go?" She says, "We'll have a bit of uppity up." Well, now at that point, there was a fantasy that if you engaged in sexual intercourse standing erect, it had a contraceptive quality. A matter of rumor, and I think the force of gravity, but that's neither here nor there. So it started to work on me, partner, I'll tell you that. But I just want enough Viagra not to pee on my shoes. I am the Prince of Segway. Anyway, so they finally found themselves a corner, and they backed in the appropriate position, and the Yank moved and her head bobbed. And he looked at her, and her head kept bobbing. The faster he moved, the faster her head would bob. He says, "Sweetheart," he says, "I've played uppity up with a lot of different girls in a lot of different places, but this is the first time I ever saw anybody bob her head. Is there something wrong?" She said, "Oh, it's not anything serious, old boy. You've just got a bit of me scarf tucked in."
How many remember seeing our show? How many, raise your hands? How many were actually on it? Well, you grew up real nice. I'm happy for you. God love your hearts. The success of our show had some secrets, and one of them I have hanging on my chest here, which is the accordion. Because I had my own orchestra, and I could save the television station a lot of money. However, this accordion, and there's not many of them played in this area because it's all bluegrass. It's kind of a difficult instrument because there's 120 buttons here, and there's 94 on this side, and when you're playing, you can't see any of them.
They play 3 of them.
But it's a marvelous instrument. I just love it because it has the ability to play music from all different countries and capture their essence and their sound. And may I, for just a minute, and while you all keep eating, let you listen to how it sounds. Of course, now, when I was playing with the children, here's what happens. I'd come into the studio and they'd say, Uncle Al, can you make it sound like a train? Yeah. Oh, Uncle Al, can you make it sound like birds? Yeah, no problem. Oh, Uncle Al, how about an airplane? And then we did the nursery songs, Mary Had a Little Lamb, and all those fun things, Humpty Dumpty, and the Hokey Pokey. But there's some good music I still think and I hope is left in here. So if I may, just for a second, play some of the songs of countries I have visited. What's this? Oh, my You can hit your spoons together, it would help. I got pneumonia, and that ain't fun, For you, Lenny. Show one day, and I always, when a commercial was running, I would set my accordion on the floor like this, and I'd have my mother watching it. So here the commercial's on the air, the studio's dark, and I go over to get the accordion, lights, camera, we're in a million homes. I put my accordion on, I noticed a little girl was sitting on it right here. So lights came on, I played the accordion, touched the keys, everything stuck. The little girl peed in my accordion.
Absolutely, it's no gag.
That's true.
Get money back.
call the insurance company in Chicago. I said, I got a claim. He said, what's your claim? I said, a little girl tinkled in my accordion. So there's a lot of fussing about that. I explained to them how this could happen to my business, and they sent me a check. It was $300. Back in those days, that was a lot of money. But 20 years go by. We're at this cocktail party, my wife and I, and this waitress comes over. She says, I know you've been looking for me. Who are you? She said, I'm the one. You're the one what? She said, I'm the one that peed in your accordion. She said it made me famous in my family. I have a wonderful family. I had 4 girls. When they started dating, I lined them up and I says, Father, I'm going to tell you one thing. Look in my eyes. Now that you're age, the boys are chasing you. They want to do funny things with you. Remember this. Turn them upside down. They all look alike. Get the ones with the brains and the money. All my daughters married doctors. We have 9 doctors in the immediate family. And on top of that, my brother's one of them. He just retired. He was a proctologist. We never could tell my mother what kind of doctor he was. She couldn't have handled it. We told her her son was a brain surgeon. And we thought that was maybe stretching it too far. Hey, how about a song like this? Meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair. Don't tell me those lights are shining any place but there. We will dance the hoochie-coochie, and I'll be your tootsie wootsie. Meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair. Our beautiful river down by the Ohio. I got the cutest little oh my oh. There is nobody half as pretty as she, as sweet as can be. Jumping jeepers creepers, she's crazy for me. And what an oh my oh. The only one who ever thrilled me so. She is the cutest thing that I've ever seen. All milk and honey, if you know what I mean. With lots of oh my oh. Just wait till I get back to oh. A couple months ago, they came down from England and they wanted me to do the hokey pokey with a large group of people. The record for the hokey pokey dance at one time was 4,000 people in New Jersey. So we went up in this little town up north, and I came up on the stage, and there's 26,000 people in the audience to do the hokey pokey with us. It was a tremendous moment in my life. And you all remember the words, don't you? Put your right hand in, you take your right hand out, put your right hand, and you shake it out. Hey, you 2 dancers, stand up a minute. Show up. Put your right hand in, you take your right hand out, put your right hand in, and you shake it all about. You do the hokey pokey, you turn yourself around. But a very sad thing happened a couple weeks later. The man who wrote the hokey pokey, Horace Billy, died in England. It was a very sad affair there, and their problem is, with them, at his funeral, they had a hard time putting his right hand in and his right hand out, his left foot in, couldn't get it in. Well, anyway, that was it. Cincinnati Reds, let's give them a little hand right now. Can you all sing with me? Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Louder. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Always root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. One more time. Take me out with the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never get back. For the home. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. One quick story. I was asked what was the greatest moment I experienced on television with 40 children every morning in my studio audience, live. One day, this woman came into Cincinnati. She was representing UNICEF. and she stayed at the hotel next door to the Channel 9. And she must have watched our show because she asked where it's coming from. They told her next door. She put her coat on, walked into the studio, and sat in the audience. I didn't know it, nobody else knew it. But as the show ended, my director said, put the earphones on. He says, go back in the audience, your show's over, and see who was watching you. So I walked back. Could you guess? Wait here. Stop pushing the keys. Shirley Temple was there in the studio. Yeah, Shirley Temple Black, right. And that was a big thrill for me. She gave me a hug, and we just had a great time. But, okay, so my theme song in closing was always on television. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, my oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading my way. Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day.
As I said, I'm 83 years old. Most people my age sit at home and hope their son calls them once a year. Or maybe not.
And doesn't ask for money.
And doesn't ask for money. But Uncle Al, Ray, and I get calls on, you may not believe this, calls almost every week. The truth is, we still enjoy living. And if you enjoy living and enjoy the humor, you'll never get old. You really won't. The body may, but you will never get old. And when I'm with two guys like this, I'm as young as springtime. How did that go? Younger than springtime.
That's it.
That's it. So thank you very much for your kind attention, for your laughter and your applause, and thank you for inviting us, Michael and Nate, okay?
The check.
I'll tell you something very funny. I said to him, should we bring pens along in case people want autographs? He said, no, they'll give you the check.
Wait a minute.
You're right. The staff made that for you, Lenny. You gotta open it up.
Oh, geez.
No, listen. I'll take care of the check because I have millions of dollars in the trunk of my car. It's Uncle Al. Play money, but what the hell?
Jesus Christ!
Wait a minute. Dinner for 40 people, 4 million.
Plus tax and gratuity.
It's a gratuity I couldn't handle. I shall cherish this all my life. I'll never pay it, but I'll cherish it.